What if I told you that there are places in the world where the simple act of entering could mean your disappearance? Places that hide mysteries so deep that those who tried to unravel them were never seen again? Now imagine that this place is not in a war zone, nor in a remote desert, but within the walls of Vatican City. A Vatican Secret Library is one of the most protected places on the planet, filled with hidden documents, forbidden gospels, and secrets that could change the history of humanity. But why is access to these files so restricted? What does the Church fear the world will discover? Many researchers, journalists, and even members of the clergy themselves tried to access these forbidden corridors, and mysteriously, they disappeared without a trace. What happened to them? Who controls this information? And most importantly, what is hidden inside that no one can know? But before continuing, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe the Vatican hides secrets that could
change the course of history? Comment below, because this could be one of the darkest stories ever revealed. Now get ready, because what I'm going to show you can completely change your view of the Church and what it really knows. Are you ready to hear the scariest reports of people who tried to access the secret library and simply disappeared? So stay with me until the end, because this story is just beginning. But before we dive even deeper into this mystery, I want to extend a special
invitation to you. If you believe that the truth needs to be revealed, and that the world needs more light on these hidden secrets, leave your prayer request in the comments. Here we are a community, and we know that prayer has power. Let's pray together for protection, discernment, and for more people to awaken to these revelations. Furthermore, don't forget to leave your like. This helps YouTube understand that this content is important and gives more people access to this information. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, click the subscribe button now and activate the bell. Here, we explore the darkest and most forbidden mysteries, bringing to light secrets that many want to keep hidden. Then, are you ready to find out what happens to those who try to access the Vatican's secret documents? Hold on tight, because the revelations that follow could change everything you believe. A Vatican Secret Library. It's not just a repository of ancient books, it's one of the most mysterious and inaccessible places with more than 85 kilometers of underground shelves. It holds documents that date back centuries, archives that could rewrite history as we know it, forbidden texts, apocryphal gospel, hidden prophecies, and letters from historical figures which were never made public, all stored under strict rules of absolute secrecy. What is hiding there? Many historians and researchers speculate that the Vatican possesses manuscripts that would reveal secrets about the true past of Christianity, altered biblical events, and even connections between the Church and secret societies. There are rumors about documents that could prove the existence of sacred texts that have been censored, simply because its disclosure could shake the pillars of faith. Could it be that the real identity of biblical figures is hidden within these shelves? Or perhaps evidence of events that were erased from history? But what really intrigues and even scares are the reports of people who tried to access these files and simply disappeared without a trace. Over the years, there have been stories of scholars, journalists, and even members of the clergy who dared to question and seek answers within these forbidden corridors, and were never seen again. What happened to them? Did they encounter something so dangerous that they were silenced? Or is there something even darker within these files, something that should not be known to anyone? And don't think that these are just legends or baseless conspiracy stories. The Vatican itself has already admitted that not all documents stored there are available to the public, and the official reason is always the same: protection of the Church and humanity. But protection against what? Why does certain information need to be kept completely secret? And most importantly, who decides what can and cannot be revealed? Many believe that some of these documents contain prophecies that have not yet happened, texts that talk about the end of times, the coming of the Antichrist, and even the true nature of fallen angels. There are those who say that within these shelves there are records of contacts with beings from other worlds, evidence that the Church has always known about the existence of something beyond our reality. Is it possible that faith itself is based on incomplete information? And most impressive of all is that even popes and important figures within the Church have tried to bring some of these secrets to light and have been blocked. Many mysterious cases involve religious people who, after having contact with certain files, simply fell ill or were removed from their positions without explanation. What did they see? Now, think with me. If you had the chance to enter the Vatican Secret Library and access any document, what would you look for first? Comment below which Vatican mystery you would like to unravel. This is important because the more engagement we have, the more YouTube will deliver this content to other people who also need to know this truth. If you believe that the truth needs to be revealed, also leave your prayer request in the comments. Let's pray together for more and more mysteries to be exposed and for light to overcome darkness. If the Church has nothing to hide, why prevent access to these documents? What could be written there that could change everything we know? This is the question that many researchers and historians have asked for centuries, but which has never received a clear answer. The Vatican Secret Library is guarded like an impenetrable fortress, accessible only to a select group of people. The Vatican itself imposes strict rules on those who wish to consult the archives, and even those who receive authorization can never see the most sensitive documents. Everything is controlled, every step monitored, and any attempt to question this system generates more mystery and distrust. But what really exists on these shelves that needs to be so well protected? There are reports that within these archives are stored evidence of sacred texts that were never revealed to the public, gospels that were taken from the Bible, letters that can prove that the history of Christianity has been altered, prophecies that indicate events that are yet to happen. Much of this information was deliberately hidden, possibly because it could shake the structure of the faith and call into question the power of the Church. If people knew the truth about certain aspects of the religious past, would they continue to believe in the same way? Is the Vatican afraid that a revelation could shake the foundations of the Christian faith? And we're not just talking about theological documents or ancient texts. Some researchers claim that within the Vatican's secret library, there are records of events that have never been officially explained, such as supernatural events, contacts with beings from other dimensions, mystical artifacts, and occult knowledge that date back to ancient civilizations. There are theories that there is evidence that the Church always knew about the existence of something beyond what was taught to the public. What could these archives reveal about the true history of humanity? And most importantly, who decides what can and cannot be revealed? Another intriguing question is what happens to those who try to investigate these stories. There are countless reports of people who got too close to these secrets and suffered mysterious consequences. Some scholars, after obtaining small permissions to analyze Vatican documents, simply disappeared without leaving a trace. Others were publicly discredited, had their careers destroyed, or died in extremely suspicious circumstances. Coincidence? Or is there a control system to ensure that certain secrets never come to light? Cases like that of Emanuela Orlandi, the young woman who mysteriously disappeared in the Vatican in 1983, raise even more suspicions about what happens within the walls of the Church. For years, theories have emerged that his disappearance is related to something much bigger, possibly a secret kept under lock and key by the high clergy. To this day, the case has never been completely solved, and the little information that emerges about it always seems to come up against insurmountable barriers. If there is a place in the world where mystery and power go hand in hand, that place is certainly the Vatican, and the secret library seems to be the epicenter of it all. Denied access to specific documents raises a crucial question. If these archives contain nothing but historical information, why doesn't the Vatican release them? What is so dangerous there that it needs to be kept under strict secrecy? Some believe the hidden documents would reveal the true story of important biblical figures, showing that many events described in Scripture were altered or even fabricated over the centuries. Others speculate that there are records of contacts with spiritual entities or even with beings that do not belong to our world. What if I told you that there is evidence that the Vatican keeps sacred artifacts that have never been shown to the public? The chalice of the Last Supper, original manuscripts of Jesus' first followers, pieces of ancient technology that shouldn't exist. All of these items would be protected within the Vatican walls, away from the prying eyes of humanity. But why? What would happen if one of these artifacts were revealed to the world? The truth is that the Vatican has always been surrounded by mysteries, and the more we try to delve into them, the more questions arise. But now, I want to hear from you. If you had the opportunity to enter the Vatican Secret Library and access any document, which would you choose first? Comment below, and let's discuss the mysteries that may be hidden in this place. If you believe the truth needs to be exposed, leave your prayer request in the comments. Let's pray together so that more secrets are revealed and that we can always seek the truth. There are stories of researchers, priests, and even journalists who tried to enter the library, but something mysterious happened to them. Some simply disappeared without a trace. Others were silenced, discredited, or, even more intriguingly, suddenly gave up their investigations, as if they had been warned not to continue. The question that remains unanswered is, what could be so dangerous as to prevent any attempt at revelation? Would documents be capable of shaking the faith of millions of people? Prophecies that predict apocalyptic events that the Church preferred to keep secret? Or something even darker, something that completely challenges our understanding of history? Among the most famous cases, there are reports about scholars who, after gaining partial access to certain Vatican documents, began to suffer strange persecutions. People who claimed to have seen something they shouldn't have reported, that their lives were never the same. Researchers who have tried to bring information to light claim that they have been intimidated, their reputations have been destroyed, or they have simply begun to be ignored by the academic community. The very existence of these documents raises suspicions, but the fact that there is an ongoing effort to prevent any information from becoming public only makes it all the more intriguing. One of the most disturbing stories involves an Italian journalist who spent years trying to get permission to investigate documents from the secret library. During this time, he received anonymous calls, notes left at his home, and even veiled threats in interviews. He never managed to gain access to the files he was looking for, but suddenly his investigation was unexpectedly interrupted. He abandoned work, stopped giving interviews, and never brought up the subject again. What did he discover that was enough to make him give up? What was said to him behind the scenes that made him shut up forever? Another frightening case involves a priest who, during his time at the Vatican, reportedly came across ancient records that showed a completely different version of the events that led to the founding of the Church. He would have mentioned these discoveries to some people close to him, but shortly afterwards he was transferred to a smaller position in an isolated church in the Italian countryside. Was what he found so dangerous that he needed to be removed? And how many other religious people over the centuries may have suffered the same fate? But perhaps most disturbing of all are the mysterious disappearances. There are records of researchers who traveled to Rome to try to investigate the secret library and were never seen again. Their families say they never returned home. Their last messages seemed normal, as if there was no hint of imminent danger. What happened to these people? Did they find something that made them disappear? Or were they somehow prevented from revealing what they were about to discover? The Vatican has always denied these allegations, saying they are all baseless conspiracy theories. But if that were true, why can't anyone freely enter the library? Why, to this day, are their documents under lock and key, accessible only to a select group of people? If there is nothing to hide, why so much secrecy? Many of these questions will never be answered, but the rumors only grow with each new attempt to expose what lies behind these locked doors. Among the files supposedly kept there are rumors about documents that speak of ancient prophecies, of events that are yet to happen and that could completely change our worldview. Some believe that the Vatican keeps writings that talk about the coming of the Antichrist, about changes that will occur in humanity, and even about secrets of the universe itself that were hidden so that humanity would not panic. But what is most intriguing is the possibility that there are texts that show a version of the Bible that was never revealed to the public, gospels that have been removed, stories that have been altered, and even passages that could completely rewrite the narrative of Christianity. What if I told you that there is evidence that secret Vatican documents mention beings that are not of this world? Ancient reports describe mysterious visits, lights in the sky, creatures that descended from the heavens in ancient times and interacted with humanity. Has the Church always known something that it preferred to keep silent? What could these texts reveal about our origins? Now I want to hear from you. If you had the chance to access any document within the Vatican Secret Library, what would it be? Comment below which mystery you would like to solve. Your opinion is very important, And the more people comment, the more this topic will be debated. Also, leave your prayer request, because together we can seek wisdom and discernment so that more and more truths are revealed. One of the most frightening cases is that of a scholar who was investigating secret Vatican documents. After announcing that he would make bombshell revelations, he simply disappeared. His name was Father Luigi Messina, a highly respected historian and priest who spent years analyzing ancient manuscripts and records kept within the Vatican Secret Library. What he found was so shocking that he decided to share his findings with the world, but he never got that chance. Just before revealing his findings, Messina disappeared without a trace. His apartment was found intact, his belongings were in place, and the only clue left behind was a diary where he repeatedly mentioned a document he called the True Creation. The last time anyone heard from him was when he contacted a journalist, claiming he had proof that certain biblical events had been altered or suppressed over the centuries. He said that the scriptures he had access to showed that some fundamental passages of the Bible were rewritten to favor the church and maintain control over people's faith. More specifically, he claimed that there were hidden gospels that described a completely different version of the story of Jesus Christ, one that could challenge the core beliefs of Christianity. But before he could present any evidence, he simply disappeared. The Vatican never officially commented on his disappearance, and any attempt to investigate was quickly shelved. Close friends said he knew he was taking a big risk, that he felt he was being followed, and that, in the last few weeks before he disappeared, he seemed nervous, as if he knew something was going to happen. But the most intriguing thing is that, months later, some researchers claim to have received encrypted messages that were supposedly written by Messina. In these messages, he spoke of a secret buried deep within the Vatican, something that humanity is not ready to know. What could be so shocking that it would make someone disappear? And this is not an isolated case. Many other people who got too close to the truth met similar fates. Some suffered mysterious accidents, others were publicly discredited, and even those who managed to say something ended up being ignored, as if they were delusional. The pattern is always the same. Anyone who tries to access certain prohibited documents or expose hidden truths ends up disappearing or having their reputation destroyed. There are also reports of scholars who gained access to some of these documents and shortly afterwards refused to talk about what they saw, as if they had been warned in some way or perhaps had encountered something so disturbing that they simply chose to remain silent. One of the strangest cases was that of a German theology professor who was given permission to analyze secret Vatican documents. He spent weeks studying ancient manuscripts, made detailed notes, but when he left, he burned everything he had written and never touched on the subject again. People close to him claim that he became a completely different person, avoided talking about religion, and whenever asked about what he had discovered, he would just say, "Some things must remain hidden." This leads us to question, what is inside these shelves that makes even the most skeptical people terrified? Could texts be stored there that show a side of faith that has never been revealed? Could they be documents that prove that the Church altered history to maintain its power? Or perhaps records that indicate biblical events were very different from what we know? Whatever it is, simply trying to look for answers is enough to put people in danger. And it's not just religious documents that are hidden there. Some theories suggest that the Vatican has secret records about unexplained apparitions, mysterious artifacts, and even evidence of contacts with beings that do not belong to this world. There are reports that inside these shelves are stored maps of ancient civilizations that shouldn't exist, texts that talk about the true origin of humanity, and even detailed descriptions of encounters between church leaders and supernatural entities. What would happen if all this came to light? The very fact that the Vatican's secret library remains inaccessible to the public is a sign that something important is being hidden. If there was nothing to hide, why restrict access? Why can only a select few consult certain documents, while the rest of the world is left in the dark? This raises a much bigger question. Who really controls the information we are allowed? Now, I want to know your opinion. If you had the chance to enter the Vatican Secret Library and could choose just one document to read, what would it be? Comment below, because this is very important for our debate. Furthermore, leave your prayer request, because together we can seek discernment so that more and more truths come to light. Some believe that there are texts that prove that the history of Christianity has been altered. Others say that there are manuscripts about contact with beings from another world. What if I told you that within the Vatican Secret Library, there are documents that not only confirm this, but that also describe events that completely challenge everything we know about humanity and its relationship with the divine? There are those who claim that these records are kept under lock and key because their content is so disturbing that it could shake not only the Christian faith, but the entire power structure that has governed the world for centuries. The theory that the Vatican hides documents that rewrite the history of Christianity is not new. Many scholars argue that, over the centuries, several texts have been removed, modified, or reinterpreted to suit political and religious interests. The Church has always had absolute control over which Gospels were considered legitimate and which should be forgotten. But what if some of these manuscripts hid truths that would completely change the way we view faith? What if there are reports that prove that certain historical figures were portrayed differently than they actually were? Imagine a document that revealed that Jesus Christ had secret teachings that were never released to the public, that his real message was altered so that the Church could exercise control over the faithful, or manuscripts that describe an unknown side of the crucifixion, details that were removed from the official Gospels so that the narrative would make sense within established doctrine. There are those who say that the Vatican keeps writings from followers of Jesus who had their voices silenced because their versions of the facts conflicted with what was taught over the centuries. But there is something even more intriguing. Some reports indicate that the Vatican has documents that talk about mysterious apparitions, encounters with entities that do not belong to this world, and records of contacts between the Church and forces that completely defy our understanding of reality. These files would be kept because their revelation to the public could have an unprecedented impact on the way we interpret faith, the creation of humanity, and even the existence of life beyond Earth. Centuries ago, several civilizations described encounters with celestial beings, deities that descended from the sky in flaming chariots, lights that appeared out of nowhere and transmitted messages to priests and prophets. But what if these phenomena were not mere spiritual metaphors? What if ancient records kept secret by the Vatican described in detail how these contacts took place? There are those who believe that the Vatican not only knows about this, but that over the years it has kept hidden records about direct interactions with these beings. The reports of priests and religious who claim to have had visions of figures that were not human are numerous. But what is most impressive are the testimonies of people who say they have found records of these encounters within the Church's secret archives. What do these manuscripts describe? What would be the true nature of these entities? Could they be spiritual beings, fallen angels, visitors from another planet? And why did the Church decide to keep this information away from the public? Many scholars suggest that these texts hide a truth much older than we imagine, something that dates back to the beginnings of humanity. Some believe that within the Vatican, there are records describing events that occurred before the flood, before the first known civilizations, perhaps even before writing itself was developed. What would happen if secret documents proved that our origins are much more complex than we were led to believe? In addition to written records, there are rumors that the Vatican keeps artifacts that should not exist, mysterious objects found in excavations that have never been revealed to the public. Some say that there are remains of buildings and devices that defy the technology known at the time, items that could prove that ancient civilizations had much more advanced knowledge than official history tells us. Could it be possible that the Church has hidden evidence that, in the distant past, humanity has already had contact with something that surpasses our understanding? The most curious thing is that throughout history, some attempts to expose these secrets were quickly suppressed. Researchers who tried to bring these documents to light had their careers destroyed, were discredited, or, in more extreme cases, disappeared without a trace. Censorship is nothing new when it comes to preserving power, but why so much effort to keep these secrets away from the public? What could be so devastating as to justify all this secrecy? Now I want to know your opinion. If you could have access to a single document within the Vatican Secret Library, which would you choose? Comment below as your comment is essential so that more people can participate in this debate. Furthermore, leave your prayer request, because together we can seek discernment and light so that more truths come to light. The Vatican has always denied any involvement in disappearances, but if this is nothing more than a rumor, why is it that to this day no one can access these documents freely? Why, even in an era of transparency and free access to information, do the secrets kept within the Vatican's secret library remain under lock and key? If there is nothing to hide, why is access to certain files restricted to only a select group of people? And even more intriguing, why do those who try to investigate these secrets end up being silenced, discredited, or, in some cases, simply disappearing without a trace? The mystery surrounding these prohibited documents raises a series of questions. What could be there that cannot be disclosed to humanity? Are there records that contradict church teachings? Is there evidence that biblical events have been changed over the centuries? What if inside those shelves are stored manuscripts that prove that certain historical figures were not exactly as they were portrayed? If the church had in its possession information capable of shaking the structures of the Christian faith, would it share it with the world? Or would it do exactly what it has done for centuries: hide, censor, and ensure that only a select few have access to the truth? Many believe that the answer to these questions is hidden within the 85 kilometers of underground shelves from the Vatican Secret Library. It is there that documents that date back centuries are stored, records that could rewrite history, papers that have been removed from the public eye and sealed under layers of absolute secrecy. Among these documents, there are reportedly letters from popes that reveal hidden conspiracies, gospels that were deliberately excluded from the Bible, and even writings that detail inexplicable encounters between religious leaders and mysterious entities. What exactly was hidden in these files, and why were its contents never revealed to the public? There are many scholars who claim that records of supernatural events that the Church has witnessed throughout history may be hidden within these shelves. Reports of enigmatic apparitions, texts that describe phenomena that defy any rational explanation, and even evidence that certain miracles recognized by the Church hide a truth much more complex than we imagine. Some researchers allege that documents kept confidential talk about sacred objects with mystical properties, objects that were collected and hidden by the Vatican so that they would never fall into the wrong hands. But why were these artifacts never presented to the public? Do they really have some kind of power? Or could their true origins reveal something the Church doesn't want us to know? Stories about secret manuscripts that reveal another version of human history are also many. There are theories that suggest that ancient records hidden in the Vatican mention advanced civilizations that existed before what we know as official history. Civilizations that had profound knowledge about the cosmos, the nature of life, and even what exists beyond this reality. But if such documents really exist, why were they hidden? Could it be because they directly challenge what has been taught for centuries? Or why do they reveal something so big that it could make people question everything they believe in? Some researchers suggest that within the Vatican's secret library there are also records about contacts with beings that are not of this world, written accounts that describe encounters between religious figures and mysterious entities, descriptions of events that, in any other context, could be interpreted as sightings of something that does not belong on Earth. But if the Vatican really has such records, why has it never spoken about them? Has the Church always known about the existence of something much bigger than we imagine? If there are reports about beings that came from other places to interact with humanity, why was this information never shared? The idea that there are secrets hidden within the Vatican is not a simple conspiracy theory. The Church itself has admitted that not all documents are accessible to the public, claiming that certain files are too delicate to be released. But delicate in what sense? What could be so sensitive as to justify hiding it for centuries? The truth is that whenever someone tries to get too close to these answers, something happens. People who investigate these topics are discredited, their research is interrupted, and in some cases, their lives change in mysterious ways. After all, why does the Vatican continue to maintain such tight control over this information? Why isn't there an opening for independent scholars to analyze these documents without restrictions? If the Church preaches the truth, why does it hide parts of it? What's really hidden in those locked shelves? And most importantly, if this knowledge came to light, what would change for humanity? Many scholars say that people who get too close to the truth end up being silenced. But is this just a conspiracy theory? Or is there a hidden pattern behind the disappearance of researchers, priests, and journalists who dared to challenge the Vatican's secrets? History is full of enigmatic cases involving individuals who attempted to expose prohibited information and were suddenly discredited, persecuted, or simply ceased to exist. Coincidence? Or something much bigger? What if we are dealing with a much deeper web of control than we realize, one that ensures that certain mysteries are never revealed? Many of the reports about people trying to investigate the Vatican's secret archives follow a frightening pattern. At first, everything seems normal. The researcher obtains small permissions to consult certain documents, begins to make notes, and as he delves deeper, he begins to realize that something is wrong. Small signs appear: unidentified phone calls, strange looks in the hallways, unexpected bureaucratic difficulties. And then, when they finally get close to something really meaningful, everything changes. Some are removed from their academic positions, others suffer mysterious accidents, and there are those who simply disappear without a trace. The question remains, what exactly were they about to discover? The few who managed to speak before being silenced mentioned documents that point to an alternative reality of history as we know it. Forbidden Gospels, apocryphal texts that narrate events differently from what the official Bible tells us, hidden prophecies that have never been revealed to the public. There are rumors that inside the Vatican Secret Library, there are manuscripts describing future events, predictions of catastrophes, changes in power, and even the emergence of figures who would shape the destiny of humanity. If this is true, it makes sense that certain information was never released, as it could completely change how we interpret the past and future. But what is most impressive are the reports of documents that talk about the Church's contact with forces that do not belong to this world. Some believe that the Vatican keeps records of encounters with entities that defy rational explanation, reports of lights that descended from the heavens, apparitions that were documented by members of the high clergy and never came to light, texts that describe interactions between the Church and beings that may not be human. If these stories are true, it means that humanity is being deprived of knowledge that could transform everything we know about our origins, our faith, and the purpose of our existence. There is also evidence that certain documents may prove that historical figures were portrayed completely differently than they actually were. What if there are letters, manuscripts, and scrolls that reveal that the early leaders of Christianity had beliefs and practices that were very different from what has been taught over the centuries? What if there are texts that detail that certain events crucial to the construction of the Church were manipulated or even faked? This type of discovery would shake the faith structures of millions of people around the world. And perhaps this is why the Church works so hard to keep these secrets hidden. The most intriguing thing is that, despite all these theories, any attempt to access these documents is systematically denied. Even the most respected researchers find it extremely difficult to consult the Vatican archives, and when they do, they can only access an extremely limited part. This raises a very important question. If there is nothing to hide, why is the Vatican so afraid to allow these documents to be analyzed? What could be in these records that justifies so many obstacles? If we go back in time, we will realize that this type of information control is nothing new. For centuries, the Church exercised absolute control over what could and could not be disclosed to the public. In the Middle Ages, books were burned, people were persecuted for thinking differently, and any knowledge that was considered dangerous to Christian doctrine was mercilessly censored. If this happened in the past, why would it be any different now? Does the Vatican continue to be the guardian of secrets that cannot be revealed? And do those who try to bring these secrets to light still suffer the same consequences as they did centuries ago? Plus, there's the mystery of the hidden artifacts. Many believe that inside the Vatican there are not only prohibited documents, but also objects that have been collected throughout history and have never been shown to the public. Ancient relics, devices that defy modern understanding, items that were found in excavations, and that for some reason were never displayed in museums. Some theorists claim that the Church hides these artifacts because they contain secrets about lost civilizations, advanced technologies that existed in the past, or even physical evidence that humanity once had contact with something far beyond our world. If this is true, it makes sense that anyone trying to expose these mysteries would be quickly silenced. The question that remains is, how long can these secrets be kept? In a world where information circulates faster and faster, where documents are leaked, where new discoveries are constantly made, will the Vatican be able to hide these truths forever? Or are we getting closer and closer to the moment when this information will finally come to light? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that the Vatican hides information that could completely change our worldview? Comment below which secret you think the Church will never reveal. Furthermore, leave your prayer request, because together we can seek discernment so that more truths are revealed. If these stories are true, what else could be being hidden from us? Will the truth ever be revealed? This is the question that doesn't want to be silenced. If the Vatican really keeps documents that could rewrite the history of Christianity, if there are secret records about contacts with mysterious entities, if there are hidden prophecies that predict the future of humanity, what else could be being kept from the public eye? And, most importantly, who decides what can and cannot be known? Is there an invisible line between what we are allowed to know and what needs to remain buried forever? With each new attempt to access the Vatican's secret archives, new barriers arise. No other institution in the world protects its documents as much as the Catholic Church. This raises an intriguing question. If there is nothing to hide, why maintain such extreme secrecy? Many scholars and historians believe that the answers to some of humanity's biggest questions are hidden within. But will we ever have the chance to discover the truth? Many believe that within these archives are records that could completely undermine the Christian faith. Documents that talk about alternative versions of the Gospels, texts that describe a timeline completely different from the one we know, information that can reveal that the history of the Church has been meticulously shaped over the centuries to maintain control over the faithful. But how true can this be? Are there texts that detail hidden teachings of Jesus Christ? Records that prove that its original message was altered, adapted, or even censored to fit into a model of religion that served the political interests of the time more than true spirituality? There are reports that certain documents hidden within the Vatican describe passages from the life of Jesus that were completely suppressed from the Gospels. Texts that talk about his childhood, about his unknown years, about experiences and teachings that never reached the general public. If this information really exists, why was it hidden? Does the Church fear that the true meaning of Christ's message will be revealed? Or do these documents show something that would completely change what we know about his identity? But the theories don't stop there. There are those who believe that the Church hides records of events that defy logic and human understanding, reports of supernatural apparitions that were never explained, phenomena that were documented by the clergy themselves and archived so that they would never be questioned. There are even theories that suggest that within these files there is information about encounters with entities that are not of this world, mysterious lights that appeared at key moments in human history, beings described in enigmatic ways in ancient texts, manifestations that were interpreted as divine, but that could have a much more complex meaning. The question is, does the Vatican really hide evidence that humanity has had contact with beings from other worlds? If there are documents describing these encounters, why have they never been made public? Is there something in these records that could completely change the way we see creation, faith, and our place in the universe? There are reports that within the Vatican's secret archives, there are texts that talk about mysterious objects, ancient artifacts that were removed from excavations and never shown to the public. Some say that these artifacts defy the laws of science, that they were found in places that make no historical sense, that they belong to civilizations that supposedly should never have had access to such technology. If this is true, why does the Church try so hard to keep it all hidden? What would happen if one of these documents came to light tomorrow? How would the world react if it were proven that some of the greatest beliefs we hold today were built on incomplete information? What else could be stored in the depths of these impenetrable archives? What if I told you that, in addition to documents and artifacts, there is also evidence that certain groups within the Vatican have knowledge about prophecies that have not yet come to pass, prophecies that were written centuries ago, and that predict events that will still shape the destiny of humanity? Some of these predictions talk about a time when the truth will finally be revealed, when everything that has been hidden will come to light, and humanity will have to face a reality that has been suppressed for generations. But when will that moment come? Are we getting closer to discovering everything that has been hidden for centuries? The fact is that the Vatican Secret Library remains inaccessible, and any attempt to shed light on these mysteries faces insurmountable obstacles. But until when will this be possible? In a world where information circulates faster and faster, where secrets are revealed every day, will the Vatican be able to maintain absolute control over what we can and cannot know? Or are we on the verge of a great revelation, something that will forever change the way we see history, religion, and the very concept of reality? Now I want to know your opinion. If you could only have access to one document within the Vatican Secret Library, which would you choose? Comment below which secret you believe will never be revealed by the Church. Furthermore, leave your prayer request, because together we can seek discernment so that more truths come to light. What do you think? Is the Vatican hiding something much bigger? Leave your comment below. The deeper we delve into these mysteries, the more we realize that there is a very well-structured pattern to ensure that certain information never reaches public knowledge. The Vatican's secret library is just the tip of the iceberg. What really happens behind the scenes of the Church's power may be far beyond our understanding. If there are forbidden documents, hidden manuscripts, and hidden artifacts, it means there is an invisible line separating what we are allowed to know from what needs to remain in the shadows. But who defined this line? Who has the right to decide which truths can be revealed and which must be kept secret? There are many reports about people who had access to these files and left completely transformed. Some never spoke again about what they saw. Others tried to reveal something and were silenced. And there are those who simply disappeared, as if they had never existed. What do these documents contain that could be so dangerous? Would it be something that would completely challenge the dogmas of the Church? Something that would call into question centuries of religious tradition? Or perhaps evidence that there is much more between heaven and earth than we have been taught to believe? Many believe that within the Vatican's secret archives there are detailed records about events that were deliberately erased from official history. If we look into the past, we will see that many archaeological discoveries, many ancient texts, and many reports were simply ignored or labeled as heresy by the Church. But why? What is so threatening about certain knowledge that it justifies its total erasure? Some researchers believe that the answer lies in the very foundation of the Christian faith. If secret documents prove that certain biblical events were altered, or that some historical figures had their narratives rewritten to fit religious doctrine, it could mean that everything we know today could only be part of the truth. Imagine if there were a forbidden gospel that contained teachings completely different from those preserved in the Bible. What if there were texts that showed that Jesus Christ possessed hidden knowledge that was never revealed to the public? Or even if there were records that proved that its history was manipulated over the centuries to serve the political interests of the Church? There are rumors that manuscripts hidden in the Vatican tell of an alternative version of Jesus' life, of events that were censored because they did not fit the official narrative. If this is true, then what else could be being kept from our reach? But the mysteries don't stop there. Some scholars believe that the Vatican's secret library not only contains religious documents, but also records about scientific advances and forbidden knowledge that have been suppressed throughout history. There is a theory that over the centuries, the Vatican has collected and hidden information about ancient technology, lost civilizations, and even unexplained phenomena. Many question why certain texts from ancient civilizations have disappeared, why certain archaeological finds have never been revealed to the public, and why some studies on the true origin of humanity seem to be systematically ignored by official science. Does the Church know something that cannot be shared with the world? There is also an even more disturbing theory. Some believe that inside the Vatican's secret library, there are documents that talk about prophecies that have not yet happened, records of seers, letters from ancient popes, predictions that indicate catastrophic events for the future of humanity. If this is true, this information could completely change the way we see the world. What would happen if one of these documents revealed the exact date of a global event that would change everything? What if there are texts that talk about the final destiny of the Church, about a time when all secrets will come to light and nothing can be hidden anymore? Some sources claim that there is a forbidden book within the Vatican, a manuscript so dangerous that its existence is denied even by those who know of its presence. This book would contain even darker secrets, truths that could change humanity's perception of itself. What does it reveal? Would it be a different explanation of the
creation of the world, a connection between religious teachings and something that completely defies what we have been taught? There are those who say that this book contains descriptions of contacts between the Church and mysterious entities, something that could never be revealed to the public. If we stop to think about it, this idea is not that absurd. The Vatican is one of the oldest and most influential institutions in the world. It has survived empires, revolutions, wars, and drastic
changes in society. He was always present at the most important moments in history. And, over that time, he has accumulated immense knowledge about everything that has ever happened. What else could be hidden inside your files? If humanity had unrestricted access to this information, would we continue to see the Church in the same way? Would the power structures we know collapse? If you've made it this far, I believe that it wasn't by chance. If at any point in this video you felt something different, if you felt a call within your heart, perhaps this is the voice of God, guiding you to seek more knowledge, more truth, more discernment. And if this has touched you in any way, I invite you now to subscribe to the channel, because together we will continue this journey in search of revelations that are hidden from the world. I know you stayed until the end. I want you to comment below. The truth needs to be revealed. This will show me that you are part of this community of truth seekers, and will also help this video reach more people who need to hear this message. It is clear, don't leave without leaving your like. This is very important so that this content continues to reach more people, and so that we can uncover even more hidden secrets. And now, before you leave, click on the next video that is appearing here on the screen, because in it, we will explore an even darker mystery, a secret that could completely change your view of what the Vatican really hides. I'll wait for you there.